Hello everyone, my name is Peter Horton and I'm the Global Channel Marketing Manager at Impinj. And on behalf of all of us at Impinj and Foundation Logic Systems, I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar. Now joining me are Marv Tolman, CEO and founder of Foundation Logic Systems, and Neil Jordan, Vice President of Operations. Now I'll be kicking things off today with a quick introduction of Impinj for those of you who aren't familiar with us, and then briefly talk about some of the challenges with linen and uniform tracking applications and how Impinj technology delivers the performance to meet such challenges. Then I'll be handing over the controls to Marv and Neil, who are really the reason why we're all on the call today. They are experts in this space, and it's their linen and uniform manager solutions that make it all possible. Now before I get started, I wanted to remind everyone that today's presentation should take about 25 minutes, leaving us with around 5 minutes to address any questions you may have at the end of the call. If you please take a quick look at the right side of your screen, you'll see a question box. If at any time during the call you have a question, please type it in the box and we'll answer it at the end of today's call. And if for some chance we're unable to get to your question on the call, we'll be sure to follow up with you offline. With that said, let's go ahead and get started. Now, for those of you who don't know Impinj, let me start off by describing our company. Impinj is the leading provider of UHF RFID products globally, and we have 3 business lines that really cover the core components of RFID technology. We have our Monza tag chips, which are the highest selling UHF tag chip on the market. Now, Impinj itself doesn't make finished RFID tags, just the tiny little tag chip that is essentially the brain of the tag. And our Monza tag chips power the majority of RFID tags available today. We also have our Indy reader chip product line. Now, similar to the Monza chip, the Indy chip is also like a brain. It enables RFID capability in products. Think of handheld terminals or an RFID-enabled label printer. In fact, most of the handheld and fixed readers available on the market today are actually powered by an Indy reader chip. And lastly, we have our own line of finished RFID readers and antennas, the Speedway product line, which are the most widely deployed UHF fixed readers today. Now, as a result, our diverse product line offers us a very unique position within the RFID industry. We see technical and business trends from both the reader and tag side, which enables us to bring exciting innovations to market, creating new opportunities for both our end users and channel partners. Next, I'd like to talk about some of the high-level challenges of tracking linens and uniforms with passive RFID. Now, the thing that usually comes to top of mind is, are there tags that can sustain industrial washing machines? In this type of application, you're not only dealing with high-temperature environment, you're also dealing with an extremely physically demanding and wet environment. All pose challenges for RFID. You've also got to make sure that the tags are unobtrusive to the ultimate end user, whether it's the customer using the linen or towel or the employee wearing the uniform. Either way, you don't want to cause any disruption to the existing customer or employee experience. And then next, you've got the challenge of being able to read lots of tags in completely random orientations. Imagine the typical laundry cart and the items packed deep in the middle of that cart or at the very, very bottom. And lastly, before I hand the controls over to Marv, I'd like to briefly talk about how Impinj RFID products deliver the performance margin needed to meet the challenges I just talked about. To begin, our Monza chips provide a high level of sensitivity that features innovative enhancements for interference rejection and energy harvesting. Monza also provides 2 independent antenna ports to enable true omnidirectional reading capability. We also have a unique feature called Tag Focus, which allows the Speedway reader or an Indy-based reader to capture difficult-to-read Monza-based tags when lots of easy-to-read tags are in the same field of view. Again, think of the linens or uniforms packed deep at the bottom or in the middle of the bin as opposed to right on top. Now, if you take the benefits of Impinj Monza-based tags and combine them with the superior technological advances of our Speedway Revolution reader, you really do get uncompromised performance margin. For starters, our readers have a 520-year MTBF, so they were built to last. They also provide power over Ethernet, which lowers the overall deployment cost, and contributes to the reader having an extremely low overall total cost of ownership. And one of the most significant features of the Impinj Speedway reader is its patented autopilot feature, which enables the reader to constantly monitor its RF environment and automatically adjust to any changes that may have occurred. Think of carts and people entering and leaving areas with a high concentration of tags. So as you can see, tracking linens and uniforms is a tough application, and Impinj technology plays an important role in delivering the performance margin necessary for a successful application. But Impinj is only part of the answer. It's really Foundation Logic Systems, their expertise, and their linen and uniform tracking solutions that make it all happen. They bring it all together. So with that said, I would like to turn the presentation over to Marv.
Thank you, Peter, and thank you all for joining us today. I'm going to start out with giving a little background on our company. We've been in the asset tracking business of developing our own software for over 18 years. We started out with a uniform manager system. With the new technologies that are available today, we've been able to branch out to a linen tracking system, asset management for all products, all assets within a property, and our latest is a pool and beach towel management system for resorts, hotels and resorts. Our offices are located in our corporate head office is in Los Angeles. We have marketing and sales office in Miami, a sales office in New York, and our programming staff is out of Australia, who we've been working with and have an alliance with for the last 15 years. Our experience started out with hotels and casinos, because originally we were only able to track uniforms using barcode technology. We've since then branched out into laundries, tracking linens, and uniforms. We have systems at theme parks, hospitals, ambulance companies, and most recently we installed a system at Vail Resorts where we're tracking all the employee skiing uniforms. We originally started with RFID 8 years ago, and we have a lot of experience. We have about 25 sites using RFID today, and we expect that each year we will get busier and busier as the technology is made more aware to people like you out there. Our company has a global presence. We currently have distributors in the Middle East. We just completed installing 3 systems in Australia, one at the Star Casino, one of the largest casinos in Australia, in Sydney, and we have systems in casinos presently and hotels in Canada. Our company involvement in asset tracking started originally, which I'm sure most of you figured out 18 years ago, with barcodes. And at that time, as I mentioned earlier, we were only able to use a system for uniforms. From that point, about 8 years ago, we installed the first system using HF tags that I'm pointing to on the screen now. It was installed at the Harrah's Casino in New Orleans, and it was a real advancement from the barcode. It gave us the ability to have a read range of about 12 inches, so we didn't need direct contact with barcodes. But it still didn't give us the range we needed to get involved in other asset tracking, and mainly linens, which every time we went out to a hotel and casino, we were asked, what do you have for linens? Finally, we were approached by Fujitsu 3 years ago to install a system at the Fairmont Hotel in Vancouver just before the Olympics, and that system provided excellent results for us, and we were able to branch out into many other sites now using this technology. We also now just completed an asset tracking system for all assets in properties using tags that can even read on metal today and have a range of up to 20 feet. what's really changed our company is the tags that you're looking at on the screen right now. On the left is a Fujitsu tag that has enabled us to track items back and forth from the cleaners with a range of 4 to 6 feet. The tag on the right is from Taxis, and we also use that tag depending on the environment and what works best after our testing. And we've had great results from both tags. The tags absolutely survive the harsh industrial laundry process, up to 60 bar of pressure from their tunnel washers, which is the maximum. They last up to 200 times and are reusable. And most important of all is the accuracy rate. When we talk about barcodes, we were glad when we got in the 80% accuracy rate. With these RFID tags, we don't say 100%, but we definitely are in the 99% category, and that's what has made our ability to get more involved in other tracking areas than we have been before. Finally, as the hotel executives tell us, there's linen and tracking for Terry. Up until now, the tracking has strictly been done by weight and sometimes by count. And when you're dealing with thousands of pieces and you're dealing with seasonal changes, the weight changes at different seasons, the accuracy rate was very poor. And most important of all, there was no way of the hotel to know exactly what was at the laundry, what they could expect to come back. And there was constantly problems between the laundries and the hotels because of that. Also, these new tags have made taking inventory easy and accurate using handhelds like you see on the right. And I guess most importantly of all, we found in our experience that the return on investment with this new technology is in less than a year. Just to give you an idea of how the tags are installed, what you see here are two different tags that fit into a pocket or a pouch that really acts as a label for the item. Here it is inserted. A seam here is open slightly. The pouch is placed inside and sewn in. And a very important aspect to this is that the guest at the properties has no idea that there's a tag inside the pouch. For uniforms, we're able to, on the left here, you see a tag that's placed on the tail of a shirt, and on the right in pants, it's placed anywhere in the inside lining. And again, because of the range, it doesn't matter where we put these tags. We just have to be within 4 to 6 feet, and we can read the tags that are placed in the uniforms. From a uniform distribution standpoint, our system interfaces with uniform distribution systems, as you see right here. An employee simply scans their ID card, and the conveyor brings the employee storage slot to the door. Inside the bag that's being retrieved right now are the garments, and by means of an Impinj antenna in the doorway, we're able to read the contents of that bag, and the system then assigns that garment or shows that garment is with an employee. Up until now, employees were picking up garments. They had to be scanned out over the counter. There was no way of knowing whether they had it, or whether the garments were sitting in the conveyor. Now we know exactly the exact location of the garment. On the left, you see soiled uniform slot. When the employee is done with their uniforms after their shift, they simply come to the slot, drop off their garments, and there's readers and antennas within there that automatically read that they've been dropped off. In setting up our system, the system is set up where each asset has its own unique profile, and it identifies the supplier, the vendor, It identifies the cleaner. It identifies, it has a unique ID number. It has a description of the item. And every time, obviously, every time this item is scanned, the location is known. And as you can see down below, we have a means of depreciating these items, either by length of time in service or by how many times they've been cleaned, depending on the operation and how they want to do it. Once these items are defined to the system, one of the great features of the software is in receiving assets, where in the past it was a laborious job of counting each item and making sure that each item is placed individually into a system. Literally, by putting in the types and styles of the items that we're receiving and the size of those items, a box can literally be scanned all at one time. And as you can see here, the system has the capabilities of scanning in 800 items at a time. And as that information is captured within the system, it allows us to immediately have a report that tells us what's been received. What you see here is a counter reading station. The arrows are pointing to Impinj antennas and readers that where items, if they're not, can be added to the system simply by placing them on top of the counter. The counter reading station is also used to initially assigning garments to employees, where simply we need to bring up their name either by scanning their card or by punching in a number. And just by dragging the garments across the counter, they're automatically assigned to their record. This is a copy of a linen report that allows us, when we receive the items that I just showed you, it tells us immediately what's been received and also adds it to the linen. This is a linen summary report. We also have a detailed linen report that can be reduced, telling us exactly what items they are, the cost of each individual item, and of course the quantities. The soiled items that are sent to the laundry today have eliminated, with these tags, have eliminated the necessity for weighing and having inaccurate levels, as I mentioned earlier. These items, these soiled items, simply pass through these two portals that you see. Within the portals are the Impinj antennas and readers, and just by simply walking through these portals, every item that's within that hamper is read. And upon reading every item, a dispatch report is presented, which allows the property to know, in this case a hotel, to know exactly what's being sent to the laundry. And of course the laundry can produce this report on their end as well if they have a system, which is a great way to make sure that the items leaving and the items coming into the laundry coincide. When the linens are cleaned from the laundry and sent back to a hotel, it's the same process. Now we're reading items that have clean items in those hampers, and once they pass through the portals, we immediately get a list of the outstanding linens that are at the cleaners. This is something that hasn't been available, as I mentioned earlier, and probably the most important reason why hotels are putting in systems. They know what they sent, they know what's been returned, and most important, they know what's outstanding to the item. In this particular case, they sent 533 pieces to the laundry. They got 510 pieces back of this particular item, this piece of linen, and they have 23 pieces outstanding. That tells them exactly where they're at, and they know immediately, based on their occupancy levels, what they have to return. In the case here where you see 159 pillowcases still outstanding, it's probably going to take a call from the hotel to the laundry to let them know that they need them back, and therefore they can make sure that they have enough to fill their rooms. Also, at the time we receive the items into the hotel from the laundry, we can produce a linen closet stocking report. Up till now, the runners that take care of stocking the linen closets have had to take large hampers up to on each floor level, go into the linen closet, check to see what's missing, eyeball it, guess at what is needed, and stock the linen closet. Now with this report, they simply know exactly. If you see here, this is the linen closet on the 28th floor. It needs 39 items of 39 pillowcases to be stocked in order for them to fill all the rooms that are occupied on that floor. A linen billing report is a laundry billing report is also produced. This because when we put the items in, as I mentioned, setting up the structure, we put in the cost for cleaning as well at that point. So every item, the hotel now will only pay for items that have been cleaned. And as you see here, even where items have to be sent back and re-cleaned, so the hotel won't be charged for those items. We track that as well. Ideally, this laundry billing report coincides with the billing report from the laundry, but it certainly is accurate to each item that has been received.
Hello, this is Neil from Foundation Logic. I'm going to talk about their capabilities of using a handheld to take real-time inventory. With UHF RFID, since every item is tagged, with a handheld we can go around and virtually touch every piece of linen on property. This allows us to use the software to then pull up the items that either were touched virtually or haven't been touched, and par up the inventory at any time, keeping the inventory accurate, identifying the areas of loss, if the items went missing at the laundry or if they went missing at the property. The screen that you're seeing now is a Star City casino in Australia, and we installed an Impinj reader and the threshold antennas at an employee entrance in order to track uniforms that are leaving the property. This has been extremely helpful in, again, identifying the areas of shrinkage, if it's the employee, if it's the guest, or if it's just items being discarded. The system also has an integrated purchasing module. This allows us to set up purchase orders in the system prior to the items receiving to the property, and upon their arrival, we select the purchase order and the item from a handheld device, and the number to be entered, and scan them into the system. This has a unique advantage that it allows us not only to track the inventory once it's been on site, but also orders that have been placed, the items that have been received, and any items that remain on back order. I'm going to hand it back over to Marvin to finish up the presentation.
As I mentioned early on in the presentation, we've branched out to track assets throughout hotels and any company that wishes to track items. The items are tracked. Anything that's assigned to an employee or anything that's assigned to a room in this case or to a department. The major change for us and in the industry is the ability to track items of metal. As you see here, these are RFID tags that adhere directly to metal, and the metal does not interfere with the scan at all, and it's been very beneficial for us to be able to branch out into these other areas. As a matter of fact, in Australia, we're going to be tracking gaming tables, furniture within the casino, and equipment similar to this throughout their whole casino. And of course, furniture can be tracked the same way. And with the handheld that Neil just spoke about, we can literally walk into a room or walk into an area and get, depending on what tags we use and what range we need, get up to 20-foot scanning range. So taking inventory is very quick in rooms as well as with linens and with uniforms. We've been getting a lot of requests to track items within the hotel rooms. What you see on the screen are items that typically leave the room involuntarily, I might add. And the hotels are looking for ways of monitoring these losses. And literally by putting tags on each one of these items, the hotel is able to go in, to have an employee go into the room, could be the housekeeper, scan with the handheld that you just saw, and know exactly what's missing from the room. We foresee in the future the possibility of hotels and casinos putting up antennas at their front exits just so they can track the items and know, not necessarily to charge the guest, but to know exactly where the items are going and to determine how they want to handle it in the future. Our system has a multiple of over 50 standard reports. Just to give you an idea, on the cleaning end, other than the billing report you just saw, the system can present expense reports by departments. When it comes to employee reports, we can hold the employee accountable for their uniforms and make sure that they're returned on time, make sure they're not being abused. So all that is available within the reporting. From an inventory standpoint, you saw some of the items that we can use. There's a report called an ideal inventory report that a manager can bring up and view and see whether the housekeeping department, for example, is keeping an ideal inventory and that they won't run out of items. And then when we get down to the purchasing reports, we can anticipate exactly what purchases we can need in the future, and most importantly of all, that we can purchase to bring the par levels up that are very important, especially in the linen process, to make sure that they never run out of linen. From a production standpoint, we can monitor activities of employees. We can monitor what happens in a department, and so the manager knows exactly what's taking place within the department, and if the work's getting done, that's been allocated. On the right here, you see the various parameters that we have, multiple parameters that can be used to bring up reports. I mentioned earlier about the return on investment that is capable with our system, and from our experience, I'm going to share with you what we're finding. This happens to be a hotel that I'm going to refer to here with 400 rooms. Typically, a hotel with 400 rooms has somewhere between 15 and 20,000 items that they wish to tag. Typically now, they're not tagging washcloths and some of the hand towel items and the less expensive items. In a couple cases, hotels are not using tags on pillowcases, but they definitely are doing somewhere around 15 items per room in 5-star hotels, and maybe less in hotels that aren't at that level. Typically, hotels carry a 4-par. We believe with this system that they can reduce their par level, which is a real cost item for them in keeping up with what they need on property at all times. The average cost of a linen is $20. That takes into consideration beach towels down to hand towels, so the average cost is $20. At some of the 5-star properties, there's linens that are up to worth $100. So in this case, the inventory value of the items within a 400-room hotel would be approximately $360,000. Out of that item, we anticipate with our system, based on what we're getting, the reports we're getting back now, that we can eliminate about 15% of the losses. That is a pretty big number. In this case, it's about $45,000. The other area where there's a return is in billing errors eliminated, because now the hotel is actually using their own billing report that I showed you, and comparing that to the laundry, and not just taking the word of the laundry that the item, that this is what they owe. The other big area of savings, and I'm using a small number here in labor, it depends on the hotel, but inventories in the past have been a horrendous task. It's really literally counting linens and towels one at a time, paying staff overtime to get the inventory done, whereas Neil showed you now it's just a matter of using a handheld, which, by the way, is in real time, where there's wireless available. In most hotels, that is available. So as they're scanning, it's updating the database in the server. And so what you see here is $61,000 savings in a small hotel, and that's well under a year. It pays for itself well under a year. We haven't seen any that don't pay for themselves that rapidly, and certainly there aren't any that will be pay for themselves within 18 months. I'm sorry, I jumped over too quickly. Anyway, I want to just briefly let you know that we have a very large reference base customers that is available to you. I'd like to thank you all very much for joining us and giving us this opportunity. And if there's any information that you require from us, please don't hesitate to let us know. We'll be happy to pass on, as I mentioned, any reference to you. On behalf of Neil and myself, thank you very much. We appreciate this opportunity.
Thank you, Marv, and thank you, Neil. Looks like we've got a couple minutes past the hour, but we'll keep the line open for just a few moments to address some questions here. And again, given our time constraints, it looks like there's a few questions we won't be able to get to, so we will be sure to follow up with you offline. So I've received several questions asking if this presentation will be available after the call, and the answer is yes. We will post a recording of this to the impinj.com website, and we'll notify you when that's available. Here's a question for Marv and Neil, a question about the Towel Manager solution. How well does that handle wet towels being entered into the bin?
Wet towels are obviously a challenge. What we try to do is read them as they're going in individually, to increase the probability of picking them up. The other thing is our software, when that item is received back, will correct itself, recognizing that it did go out.
Okay. And another question: does stacking interfere with tag reading, and how is that avoided when you're dealing with lots of linens or lots of towels?
Yes, stacking is another one of those challenges. In particular on the very small items such as pillowcases and hand towels, and we've overcome a great deal of this through playing with the various antenna arrays and settings within the Impinj reader.
Great. Here's a question about tagging the items. Do you purchase towels already tagged, or do you have to apply the tags to your existing towels?
I'm glad this question came up because I failed to mention it earlier. Initially, tags can be put on at the property to get the property started, but ongoing after that, the manufacturers are putting the tags on the manufacturing level. Our company has shipped tags to Pakistan, to Turkey, to various factories within the United States. And the hotels that we're dealing with have made arrangements with the manufacturers to tag the items before it gets to them, and therefore it's very easy, as you saw, to enter into the system and takes away the labor-intensive problem of putting tags on.
Excellent. I have another question about with regard to tags, and that is, let's say, for example, you've got 800 linens, and an RFID tag gets damaged. Are you able to identify which linen has the damaged tag in it?
Unfortunately not. The way in which we identify the tag, we would pick up that item during the inventory process, and it would show up as being an inactive piece of linen. Our losses have been, or the tags falling out of the linen has been relatively low, so it has been immaterial to the immaterial in respect to the volume of items going back and forth to the laundry.
Great. Looks like we've got a few more questions, but we are out of time, so we'll be sure to follow up with you offline if we were unable to get to your question. Just wanted to answer one last question. I've seen it come in a couple times here again, and that is, will this information be available after today's call? And the answer is yes, and we will notify you when that is available. So on behalf of Impinj and Foundation Logic Systems, I'd like to thank all of you for taking the time to join us today. We really appreciate your being here and hope that you found this interesting. Thanks, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much.